Welcome into Boxing Scene Today here at the ProBox TV studios. Well, there's no news like breaking news. It broke as I was sitting in my chair waiting for this show to start. Can't say I'm happy about it necessarily. Gervonta Davis taking on Jake Paul. It looks like right now, according to Mike Coppinger, November 15th, Atlanta's State Farm Arena in an exhibition on Netflix. And one of the topics we're going to discuss today was maybe the future of Gervonta Davis. Now we think we know what it is. To help me break it down in studio, the champ, Paulie Malignaggi, joining us via Zoom, the champ, Chris Algieri. Paulie, literally, breaking news. First thoughts, what are they, man? I know you don't hold back a whole lot, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Dude, I don't know. I'm still processing it. It's an exhibition, at least. I don't know. It could have been worse. I guess it could have been a real on-the-record fight. I don't know. Wasn't Jake Paul rumored to be in fighting Anthony Joshua recently?
Yeah, heavyweight. Heavyweight, big heavyweight.
Who said this recently, that they wish they had it like Jake Paul, where you could just go through all the weight classes and be like, I'm gonna fight. Everybody's up for a fight. Everybody's in the room for the fight with Jake, from flyweight to heavyweight. It's great. You got all the kinds of options. Gervonta Davis, I don't think he's wanted to fight Lamont Roach. This was the perfect escape for him. It's really win-win, I guess. I mean, I can't say it's win-win for Gervonta as much as it is for Jake. Jake, it's like, okay, you're fighting a former world lightweight champion. You're bigger, so you have some advantages, even if you're, at a severe skill disadvantage. You're not supposed to expect to do anything, but if you do, it's even, it's bananas for you. It's great. Gervonta, I don't know. What if Jake hits him? Jake's a big guy. I don't know if Gervonta stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
And Gervonta is small even by lightweight standards.
Right.
So it is a little bit of a David and Goliath fight. It's just, the David character in Gervonta is much, much more skilled. But I guess that's the thought process. As far as what it does for boxing, well, absolutely nothing. But then again, what have Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul really done for boxing in the ring aspect? Because Jake,
very good promoter.
I am a believer in Jake as a promoter, and I think that he has a future as a promoter, and I think he's done very well as a promoter, and I think his company has done some very good things for the sport, and for young fighters, and for brewing talent and making good fights on that basis. But as far as from fighters' perspective, what do they do for boxing from a fighter's perspective? I don't think Gervonta Davis has ever done anything for boxing, honestly. Like I feel like TV has just in this generation, they just create stars, and then they just tell you, okay, we're gonna make this guy the star. It's like they're pre-created, and then they just tell you, because honestly,
champ, when's the last time you've been to a Gervonta Davis fight?
Since my days at Showtime. And I know you tell me, but here's the thing. See the sneaker right here, these Nikes? I'll tell you, let me finish my thought. Do you see these Nikes? If you promote these Nikes like they promoted Gervonta Davis's career when he fought the coffee salesman and the milkman and all this other stuff, if you promote these Nikes the same way, you will feel, because we live in a generation so stupid. They're making this fight in the Georgia Dome or whatever. What is the new arena called? It's not even called the Georgia Dome anymore. It's whatever it's called.
State Farm Arena.
State Farm Arena.
Yep.
You could fill up an arena making this Nike shoe fight this Nike shoe. And you can fill up an arena. We live in a generation this stupid. So if you promote it for years and years and years with highlight reels, manufactured reels, and all this other stuff, and you can do that. Because Gervonta, honestly, he fought a bantamweight. Leo Santa Cruz is one of his best wins, who is old. And if you look at Santa Cruz's record, 80% of his resume was guys you never heard of himself, So that's one of his best wins. Jose Pedraza was absolutely clearly weight drained. And his career arc prior and afterwards tells you that. And also, I was in the fighter meetings with Jose Pedraza when he's fighting at 130. And he used to complain to us every time he made 130 how dead he was at the weight. And I had already worked the fight where Edna Cherry beat him and got robbed. So Pedraza shouldn't have even been champion when Jay Davis took his title. That's probably his second biggest win. Ryan Martin, there was a lot of fluff because he never accomplished anything, but he was a flashy guy, and I actually liked that win for Gervonta.
Ryan Garcia,
a lot of fluff again because he's a YouTuber who's never accomplished anything else besides being a YouTuber. Though there is talent there, it's unfulfilled and untapped talent, and the loss to Rolly Romero tells you that. So what has Gervonta Davis created, aside from being a manufactured creation that got a big push from Floyd Mayweather? Let's be honest here. A big push from Floyd Mayweather. And then after that, let's match him very carefully, because what do? We wanted to do the same thing with Adrian Broner, who had the balls to fight everybody. Say what you will about Adrian Broner, had the balls to fight everybody. Didn't duck a single fight. and they said, you know what? We wanted to do this with Adrian Broner. We wanted to just manufacture a star before he was made into a star, and we kind of messed up by matching him too tough. So the pendulum swung in the complete opposite direction here. It's not like you balanced it out. You went in the complete opposite direction and made this guy fight absolutely nobody constantly. And let me tell you something about the Lamont Roach fight. He's a 16-1 underdog going into the fight because they knew they didn't want to fight anybody who was a risk. There's a reason he's ducking the Lamont Roach rematch now, because now you realize, wow, this guy is a threat. Whoa, I don't want anything near him. I've stayed away from guys like this my whole career. What, am I going to start fighting them now? They've given me free money my whole career to get away from the threats. I'm going to start fighting them now? Hell no. This guy was good. I don't want nothing to do with him. Let's go with the Jake Paul route, which is, again, mostly win-win for him. It's more win-win for Jake, but it's mostly win-win for him.
All right, so what does Gervonta Davis...
Whoa, hold on. I gotta respond.
That's what I want, Chris. Go ahead.
I didn't even get to talk.
Please.
So, what has he done for the sport? I mean, manufactured or not, he went out there and he performed and he got knockouts and people tuned in. Boxing fans tuned in. And you can talk about that shoe fight and that shoe. They're not boxing fans. Gervonta Davis sold pay-per-views to boxing fans. And he got boxing fans to come to fights, which is so needed. Desperately needed in this day and age.
They marketed him that way. You can market anybody. You can market it that way. You can market it that way. And champ, you should know better because you and I were very marketable and never got any marketing except as opponents for high-level fighters. And you should know that. They talk about great white hypes and all this other stuff. No, that's absolutely not true. They manufacture what they want to manufacture. Shakur Stevenson can be marketable. He's not ghetto enough. Andre Ward was very marketable. He's not ghetto enough. Why do black fighters only get marketed when they're quote-unquote ghetto, when there's class guys who you can market as great examples? Shakur Stevenson, Andre Ward, so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Yeah, I'm saying it. People complain because I'm too real, and I'm going to be honest. Why could Ray Leonard be manufactured as a... I don't even want to use the word manufactured because Ray Leonard actually was legit.
Great fighter.
But Ray Leonard promoted as the class guy, and it worked. Why could you do it back then, but now you can't do it? Andre Ward was gold medalist the same way, class, could speak, mature, poised, could fight his ass off. Why didn't you market him the way you marketed Ray Leonard? What happened between 1976 and 2004? Why are you marketing
two letters.
Why are you marketing only Thug Life? Why? And I'm not saying, okay, I wasn't a part of this because I was a big fan of the hip-hop gangster rap generation and all this other stuff. But as a 44-year-old, you start to realize the concept of the entire scope of things. Why are you not marketing guys like Shakur Stevenson more? Why are you marketing this guy who doesn't want any of the smoke? Shakur has wanted all the smoke. This guy doesn't want any of the smoke. Even if the smoke is over there, not only does he not go in the room, he doesn't even want to be near it. You know what I mean? So, and then God forbid he accidentally enters the room where there was smoke he didn't expect, like the Lamont Roach fight. He's running out of there. He's taking knees and everything. So what are we doing here? This does nothing for the sport. Ultimately, it's not really a personal thing against these kind of people, these kind of individuals. It's what it does for the sport or what it does against the sport. It hurts the sport, man. You keep manufacturing these people in people's living rooms. You're just pre-choosing them. I don't know if there's some kind of off-the-wall ritual in the background that some people are agreeing to do certain things in exchange for certain amounts of fame. I really don't know anymore, bro. I've gone into the conspiracy realm at this point in my life way more than this, but at this point, I don't even know it, bro. What makes you decide we're going to make this guy a star and this guy no? What makes you decide at this point when both can fight? Because you give that career arc, that career resume to Shakur Stevenson the same as you did to Gervonta Davis. Shakur would have beat every single one of the opponents that Gervonta has beaten, but much easier, much less competitively.
Chris?
Therein lies the problem. So one thing I'm going to say is Paulie's not going to say no Diddy in terms of the conspiracy that's going on. But in terms of you mentioned those fantastic guys who are classy as hell: Andre Ward, Shakur Stevenson, Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what the difference is, Paulie? Knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture
knockouts. You can't manufacture
to a degree.
Davis.
You can to a degree. I mean, you can't. Yeah, Gervonta legitimately cannot get knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists though, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist, if he was a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best of the best. Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best and show us how he smokes them.
But,
the way
Paulie,
we did
also,
when Felix Trinidad was doing it. You know, the way they
Felix
did it
Trinidad
when
was
Mike
a
Tyson was
superstar.
doing it in his prime. Okay, say what you want about the Mike Tyson era.
now-
He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No,
and
because
Teddy
he
Atlas
fought
100%,
everyone that was there. Everyone that was there at that time he fought.
Teddy Atlas will 100% agree with this.
With the expense
he
of
would say the guys
Witherspoon.
that were afraid of
With
him.
the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all, doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say in that era except maybe Witherspoon, who I contracted.
say the same thing about-
who had contract issues with King at the time. Oh, except for Witherspoon, there is nobody Tyson didn't fight in that era. He knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, dude, when you gonna fight them? The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost any of them. So it's not the same thing as the Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out everyone. There was nobody there in that era that you can say Tyson didn't fight.
Didn't say it was related. It was the same as the Tyson era. Didn't say it at all. I was actually going to say the opposite when you talk about Trinidad. Trinidad is a bona fide superstar. And the way that he was, and like you said, he
stepped
fought
him up
everybody,
and he knocked out.
And he was a knockout punches. No, of course. So that's a different thing. So is Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, you also have to compare it to your contemporaries. Nobody is selling, dude. Nobody is selling. No one sells tickets. No one has a following these days. There's very few fighters who actually
there's
sell
a
tickets.
push, bro. I was at
Canelo
Showtime.
Alvarez.
I was at Showtime.
There's Canelo
There's
Alvarez.
a push, bro.
Of
But no,
course.
but champ. I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I got to because
They
here's the
all
thing.
push.
There's
They work,
a
sometimes
push
they
for
don't.
certain people. I remember being at Showtime and even watching on HBO on TV. They're mentioning Saul Alvarez, who I didn't even know his name was Canelo at the time, as a possible Mayweather opponent when they were talking about possible Mayweather opponents. I'm like, I knew who the rest of the guys on the list were. Who the hell is this guy? Who's Saul Alvarez? That he's going on, that you're putting him in a list with all these other guys that you were bona fide champions and high-level fighters. They were already propping him up before he even got there. That's what I'm saying.
Guess what? It worked. It works, Paulie.
Okay, you can do that with anybody is what I'm saying. You can do that with anybody who's a world-class fighter. You can't do that with anybody who's not a world-class fighter. But if they're world-class fighters, you can do that. Okay? Gervonta
you still gotta
Davis,
get in and win.
they were pushing when he was on Mayweather undercards. I was there. I was on the show. I was on Showtime. And honestly, I was buying it too at the time. I liked Davis. I liked him as a prospect. I liked what he was doing. I remember the first time I started having my doubts about Davis. It was on the undercard of Mayweather-McGregor. I think he fought Francisco Fonseca or something like that. And he looked pretty average. And all of a sudden I was like, you know what, that's sort of the bigger step up for him right now. And he won, but I remember it was like an early stoppage, and he hadn't looked great in the fight. He wasn't a threat of losing or anything, but all of a sudden I was like, this guy's, this is not enough of a step up for you to be struggling already. You know what I mean? Like, I remember thinking, like, if you're going to struggle, you got to struggle at the very, very, very elite level. Like, if you're going to be propped up as this guy who's the next coming, right? I remember seeing him struggle a little bit with Fonseca and thinking, if you're going to struggle against a guy like Fonseca, that's not enough of a step up for me to think, like, you can reach these levels and you're already struggling at this level. And honestly, bro, what we've heard in hindsight since then, listen, let the young men go make money. It's fine. It's not about that. It's not about it. If anybody thinks I'm complaining about that, it's not about that. I worry about the health of the sport. These kind of things do not do us for the right thing, okay? Because it's not like he's going to go fight Jake Paul and then he's going to go fight Lamont Roach. He never wants to be in the same state as Lamont Roach again.
I don't think he's going to be. Listen, if you're a champion, defending champion, and you're going off and fighting exhibitions for money, you're not interested in fighting anymore. I don't think Gervonta Davis is ever going to fight again after this. But so all the points that you were making in terms of what Gervonta is, he's built up, he's this and that. You must like this fight then, because you got two guys who are built up who are selling tickets to non-boxing fans.
No, I don't like the built up. I don't like the built up. I like organic boxing. I'm just saying what they prop it up as selling.
If you're gonna have two built up guys, they should fight each other, right? I mean, by what you're saying, I'm not saying that you like the build up, but if you got two guys that are built up and you're saying Gervonta Davis is built up, obviously Jake Paul's built up.
I'm saying you should build up the correct guys. You should let them organically rise to the top. The cream should rise to the top organically. Look
at Tim Tszyu. Look at Tim Tszyu. Yeah. Huge push behind him. They were getting ready. This was going to be the guy. He dropped the ball.
Bro, his level of opposition is better than Gervonta Davis' whole career arc, even right now. Tim Tszyu,
Okay,
who his level of position has already surpassed what Gervonta Davis has fought in his whole career. So you can't say drop the ball. What drops the ball is, no, you get exposed maybe as, okay, maybe you weren't as good. If you fight enough top guys, I'm telling you, Tszyu's a quality fighter. But, we found out, okay, he can't hack it at a certain level. Davis isn't going to hack it at that level either, guys. I got news for you. They just kept him away from that level.
I'm gonna push back on that too again, because Fundora, is Fundora really that guy?
I mean,
he's proving
to be. He's proving to be. And honestly, the Montezalio fight didn't help him either. You forget against
the Montezalio fight. That was. That's
what I'm saying. You don't let anything arrive organically. How does Montezalio not get a date? You know what I mean? We talked about this yesterday. How does Montezalio, who's a monster in that weight class, again, you're not letting it organically arise. This is not a sport, bro. This is a sideshow circus that we're turning into over here. And I gotta see you talking about it. Go ahead, Jimmy.
What I'm curious about, and I really want to ask you this, Chris, because we were discussing this off air before this show even started. His charges of domestic violence dropped because his girlfriend basically failed to make a statement to police. This is a guy who claimed to have turned things around after he fled from a car accident. Clearly didn't turn things around. Chris, how much does he's going to be in trouble anyway. We got to cash him out while we can. How much do you think his out of ring troubles may have contributed to this decision? You get what I'm saying? Where he's going to be in trouble. We don't know. As you said, he doesn't want to fight anymore. But this idea of he's also been in trouble again recently. Hey, let's take the big money fight and cash this guy out before he does something that he's going to do some serious time or there's another big mistake. What's your thought?
Troubles or not, I don't know the reality of that because, listen, I have friends who are repeat offenders in certain things, and it just becomes sometimes those repeats aren't like they should be. And I'm not gonna speculate on any of that. I will say this though, I think it was about 18 months ago. He essentially talked about wanting to be out. And once you're 1 foot out the door, you're pretty much all the way out. And when he started saying that he was thinking about retirement, or he wants to think about his kids, or he, is thinking this different way, or I don't want to go to a therapist because it's going to change the way that he's already thinking about it then. That shows me he's already got a foot out the door. The people around him I'm sure are aware of that. They've got the behind the door discussions with him, and they're getting the real Gervonta Davis, or at least parts of it that no one else gets to see, especially lately. If you notice, Gervonta's been really out of the public eye in between fights. Yeah. He stays in the gym a lot more. He's kind of quiet. And then once he starts getting ready to fight again, he starts tweeting. But there's a big gap in between that. We're not hearing a whole lot of what's going on in between. So are the people around him aware that his mindset has changed? Are they aware that he's not in it the way he was? He doesn't have that young, hungry man mentality anymore. He's made a lot of money. Fights are getting tougher. He's going up in weight. These guys are different now. There's a lot of tough guys around him. Maybe he doesn't want to go into those dark places that are necessary, whether it's in training camp or in fights. And his people around him, his handlers, don't understand that. And it's like, all right, guys, we got to get that bag now. I know we've made a lot of money, but we've also spent a lot of money. But there's a massive payday with this guy, Jake Paul, in an exhibition fight in November. Let's go get that, man. Let's go get that bag. And then from there, we'll see what happens, because at that point, you're not going to make more money than that anywhere else, and without fighting someone really dangerous. Jake Paul's danger is only because he's so big. Other than that, there's a lot more dangerous guys in his weight classes that he's going to make a lot less money. So risk-reward, this is the route.
You have played both sides of it, Paulie, about who has more to lose in this fight. If you had to make a pick, who to you has more to lose? The big Jake Paul, who's not particularly skilled, or the smaller and very skilled Gervonta Davis, who's facing a bigger guy?
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. Yeah. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks...
The answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion, multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Algieri, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy, if he hits you clean. So We know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned, mind you? You know, why don't you make him do that? If he had been a, Ray Leonard-esque type of fighter, bro, go ahead, bro. Go do it. You know what I mean?
Mike Tyson doing this with Jake Paul, we kind of went, okay.
Yeah, like go do it.
I still wouldn't be happy because there's too many guys around
it's
that
an exhibition. It's a big, but Champ, the point you made.
You can't do that while having a title. You can't do an exhibition when you have a title.
Good point. But remember, ex-world champions back in the day used to have non-title fights while they were champions. In the 50s and stuff.
But they weren't exhibitions.
But Paulie, they didn't fight once a year.
No,
they
you're
fought
right.
6 times a year.
You're right.
So
but here's the thing. Here's where I do agree with you, though, Champ. Here's where I do agree with you. The whole 18 months ago, I want to get out. Where do you get your balls big enough that you want to get out? You haven't fought anybody yet. Where do you get your balls big enough to say, I want to get out? Like the guy who gave you your biggest threat unexpectedly gave you that threat, and now you don't even want to see him again. Compared to Mayweather, who everybody loves to criticize, as soon as somebody gave him a tough fight, the same year they were in the ring again. He didn't let 6 months pass. No. Yeah, you think he gave me a tough fight? I'm going to show you how I do it. Get me this guy right away. I want him right now. Not now, but right now. That's what Mayweather did every single time. Not even Ray Leonard did that. Nobody did that, okay? Remember that. When you want to criticize Mayweather, anybody who gave that guy a tough fight, like this, right away, they were back in the ring with him. Find me somebody else that wanted those direct rematches with those guys. That'd be maybe Lennox. Lennox had the 2 losses and he gave the rematches. But even Lennox didn't fight Ray Mercer again. Even Lennox didn't fight Ray Mercer. They were losses with Lennox.
Lennox lost those fights, so he of course he won it back. Floyd still won them. Floyd could have won and ran away. Like, I got past him already.
And you're right, Champ, because I'm thinking as I'm talking, I'm thinking faster than I'm talking. Lennox didn't fight Ray Mercer again. I'm sure that could have been a fight they could have done again, right? So when he won, he got out of there too. So think about that, okay? You want to talk about career arcs, but how do you criticize a guy like Mayweather, but then you're gonna defend this? Why? Because it's this generation. We live in a moron generation. That's the problem right here. That's it. That's the problem. That's it. Case closed.
Done.
What else am I gonna say?
Fine. Last question I have for you, Chris. How disappointed would you be if Gervonta Davis, let's say he beats Jake Paul and rides off in the sunset after an exhibition, as Paulie said, not fighting the guys he could have fought? Obviously, Lomachenko probably number 1 on that list, but how disappointed
Lomachenko
would
is
you
going
be
to get criticized for not fighting Davis,
right.
But the problem is Davis didn't want to even. Mum was the word until Lomachenko was 36 and on the way out. Then all of a sudden he started tweeting about him. No, bro.
No. I mean Gervonta getting criticized for not fighting Lomachenko.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it the other way around.
Gervonta's groupies and ass kisses are going to tell you, oh, he did call out Lomachenko. No. When you're 36 and he's on the way out, doesn't count, buddy.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. Lomachenko was calling him out since they were at the 130-pound days, okay? So don't give me a Lomachenko route, because Lomachenko would have spanked him, okay, at any other point in his career. By the time Lomachenko was 36, he was sick and tired of the politics, sick and tired of the pro game, and then all of a sudden Davis is tweeting like, I want to fight him. Really, guy? Really now? Very intelligent of you. I know. You think we're all born yesterday?
That's what I'm curious about, Chris, is A, how disappointed would you be if this is it for Gervonta Davis, considering the physical talent he has? And also, how do you think it does, Chris? Pay-per-view wise.
It's a very anticlimactic end to his career. It's going to leave a lot of questions, and the criticisms are going to be deep and harsh for a long time, because you're leaving when the division is hot and fights that could be made easily, and you're leaving with a title coming off of by retaining it via a draw. And you're obviously just been like, you know what, smash and grab, I'm getting out of here. I'm done. I can't stand the heat. I'm getting out of the kitchen. So I'm going to fight this guy who's 100 pounds heavier than me and has 100 less fights experience-wise, and I'm going to make a ton of money. So yeah, I think if he is to win the fight and then go off into the sunset, I still think that the criticisms are going to be high. And if God forbid he loses and the criticisms, forget it. I mean, he'll be a laughing stock. I don't care how much bigger he is.
There's no winning and losing in exhibitions, guys. There's going to be no winner. I don't think there's going to be a winner and loser, because I don't think you can bet on exhibitions. So,
but there will be in the eyes of the public.
Yeah, eyes of the public, sure.
Yeah.
You know what? What I hope, because it's Jake Paul. the undercard is good. Jake
Yeah,
gives us
good
good
promoter,
cards.
gives us good cards.
I hope at least we get that, which would be consistent with what Jake has done as a promoter.
Is this going to be a PBC card, or is this going to? We have so little
even
information.
knows?
Yeah, all we know is it's on Netflix, supposedly.
And Ring has announced it, so could the
Ring.
Galashik involved in any way?
Ring broke the story.
So
Could be.
Wow. So
As
But it's
it
in
may
Georgia.
go.
also what all right, other questions, because this is going to be this is where we talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
What weight are the gloves? How big is the ring? Are there scorecards? Like how does this work?
no,
I mean,
the
you
exhibitions
said-
and no scores because they can be. I heard that like about a year or two ago. There's no results in exhibitions because there's nobody. It's not a sanctioned fight. And people can't bet on it because otherwise, you can kind of manufacture it and turn it entertainment and stage.
Well,
the result,
so
right?
that's but Paulie, if you remember, the Tyson Jake Paul fight was supposed to be an exhibition, and then eventually turned into a fight that was going to be on BoxRec, mostly because of the betting. So as we get closer to this, is it possible for this to be a non-exhibition? I think it's probably because of the weight differential.
Yeah.
You probably can't sanction.
You know what? To quote the Jewish guy in Coming to America,
Yeah.
well, right. That's a good point.
The issue would be, even in a weak commission state, that kind of weight disparity, it's almost impossible to get this fight like that sanctioned.
Hey, Jimmy, money makes things happen, man.
It does
Grease
make
for real.
We know the deal and how boxing works. It's part of the reason why you guys tune in. But Paulie's got to go take a shower because he has just put all his energy into this.
How do you grease the commission? You shake his hand when you put
There's a bill in that. That's how
50 in there.
You fold
You know how it
up
works.
the bill and you put it. You fold up the bill and you have it.
and you shake his hand. Is that?
You New York guys, you know all this stuff, but that's why we tune in as it makes news. He talked about all the questions we need to answer as they become out there. You will hear it right here on Boxing Scene Today. Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, I'm Jimmy Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next time. Find out why millions are watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. How'd you get balls big enough to watch that?